Now, as a leftist, um, obviously, I'm a big fan of Tucker Carlson. How could I not be as a leftist? I hate corporations, he hates corporations, and I've never really looked into it any deeper than that, so I just assume that's it. We must get along. Now, I was shocked. Um, the other day by the groundbreaking reveal that Tucker Carlson's top writer, some man, turned out to be a gigantic flaming racist who is basically just the incarnation of your average 4chan poll poster talking about how N-words are inferior and they like eating mud and white people are better. Just pretty much standard poll poster, right? And, my God, Chad, is this really what you've provided me here? A Daily Mail link? Is there nowhere better I can find this? If this all turns out to be fake because it's from Daily Mail, then that's not my fault, okay? That's their fault, all right? Ugh. Can't believe I'm giving them fucking ugh. Well, here we are, folks. Tucker Carlson announces vacation as he defends head writer fired over racist comments, saying, "We are all human," and he paid a very heavy price as he slams the ghouls beating their chests over the destruction of a young man. I would be one of those ghouls, it would seem, though that man is older than I am, so to me it would be the destruction of an old man. I think he's like 30. We have a CNN link. Please, God, thank you. There we go. This is a less sensationalist title as well, but we'll work with it. In a brief set of prepared comments, Tucker Carlson, finally, addressed the revelation that his now former top writer, Blake Neff, was secretly posting racist and sexist material in an online forum. On Friday, many of those posts became public, Carlson said. Blake was horrified by the story and he was ashamed. Friday afternoon, he resigned from his job. Carlson said the comments Neff wrote under a pseudonym in the online forum were wrong and that he does not endorse those words. Carlson continued, "It is wrong to attack people for qualities they cannot control." It's interesting. That kind of suggests that it is okay to attack people for qualities they can control. No, so... In this country, we judge people for what they do, not for how they were born. We often say that because we mean it. Carlson added that Neff fell short of that standard and has paid a very high price for it. And then things took a turn. Carlson said, "We should also point out to the ghouls now beating their chests in triumph the destruction of a young man that self-righteousness also has its costs. We are all human. When we pretend we are holy, we are lying. When we pose as blameless in order to hurt other people, we are committing the gravest sin of all, and we will be punished for it. There's no question." An interesting a way of framing this, Tucker Carlson. Bold effort. 6.5 points out of 10. Let's see how this actually plays out when we think about the shit we're saying. Now, this is a prepared statement from Tucker Carlson. This isn't just him reading, this isn't him off the cuff, So I think it's perfectly fair to criticize, with great specificity, the language he uses. We should also point out to the ghouls, I think it's interesting that Tucker Carlson believes the only people who could be happy about a white supremacist no longer having a media position are ghouls. Now beating their chests in triumph of the destruction of a young man. Now, once more, Tucker Carlson earlier said, you shouldn't attack people for qualities they can't control, which implies you can attack people for qualities they can control. See, that's how it works. It's wrong to be mean to a person because they're black for one reason amongst many being because they were just born that way. They have no moral culpability. That's one reason not to, mind you, one. And likewise, it is okay to attack people for things they can choose to be or not be because they are culpable. This is a decision they're making. So when he then turns around and impugns people, quote unquote, beating their chests in triumph of the destruction of a young man, that's a little bit strange. It's kind of like, well, being racist is wrong because they can't help it, but also being racist, you shouldn't attack them because they can't help it, We are all human. I don't think anyone denies this, except for, as a matter of fact, Blake Neff, who did not seem to believe much in the humanity of black people. When we pretend we are holy, we are lying. All right, so listen. I can't speak for everyone who's spoken out on this issue. I don't think that any of the people who are celebrating the removal of an avowed white supremacist from a top media position are calling themselves holy. I don't think that's happening. I have not seen that happen. I have not seen a choir of angelic progressives casting the first stone down at Blake Neff. It's more people being like, wow, that sure is wacky that you have a white supremacist as a top writer, Tucker Carlson. That sure is a wacky thing that so happened. I wonder if that at all... I wonder if the political opinions of this white supremacist at all influenced the writing he did on your show, which is about political opinions, you know? Maybe, possibly, perhaps. I don't think it had anything to do with being holy. And then he goes on to say, when we pose as blameless in order to hurt other people, what the fuck does this mean? Pose as blameless? I'm sorry, can anyone find me like a media pundit talking about how they're flawless and that's why Blake Neff is bad for being a white supremacist? It's a very weird straw man. What he's essentially trying to do is go, well, you're not perfect either. You're one to talk. You're human. Like, well, no. No, it's a very childlike response from Tucker Carlson, but as it so happens, I do have my flaws. Quite a few, as it happens, and many of them have been discussed openly on this channel, but none of my flaws are being a white supremacist while also holding a massively important media position. That's what makes it worse, by the way. A white supremacist who works at Dairy Queen, I mean, it's not good, but, you know. A white supremacist who is the top writer for the most famous and popular and successful talk news host in human history, that's a little bit worse, in my opinion, you know, consequentially. And somebody in chat pointed out, and I do believe this does reek a little bit of the we're all a little racist inside sort of thing, doesn't it, you know? Well, yeah, he got caught, but we're all a little racist, so, you know, you don't go pretending you're perfect. It's a very, very strange deflection. I'm not entirely sure what Tucker Carlson is going on about there. And then he's going on a long-planned vacation to do some trout fishing, no doubt to find another white supremacist he can find to, replace as his top writer. Yeah, while it may be true, it's worth noting there's a long tradition of Fox News anchors who supposedly, going on for supposedly pre-planned vacations when they spark controversy. I remember that happening very much with Bill O'Reilly. Yeah. It's just a wacky little coincidence. Going fishing. Can you imagine being a millionaire and fishing? I'm really sorry. I get it. I'm young. Being a millionaire and going fishing. Dude, why not? If you're gonna be like a boomer and do like a hunting outdoorsy thing, then why not like mow down wolves from like a Apache helicopter somewhere in Alaska, you know? Like what? Why not get like a fucking heavy machine gun mounted on the back of like a pickup truck and run through the African safari, just like shooting everything that moves? Like, I'm just saying, like I don't know, commit, you know, commit, but don't do that. It's not good. Don't do that. It's not good. Just stick to fishing, okay? Sorry, just got a little carried away there. I just find fishing, the concept of fishing is very boring to me. It just doesn't. I feel like fishing is a lot like it's like the opposite of a normal distribution, okay? Over here, we have people who fish because they were taught that to be a man, you gotta fish. And it's like this weird traditional bullshit, you know? And over here on the other side, you have people who fish, and it's purely a utilitarian exercise for them because they need fish. And somewhere in the center, the smallest possible minority, there are people who are Sherpas to the spirit realm, who fish, and they can just fish for 11 hours straight, and they don't move the entire time, and they just sit there peacefully, and they're all their chakras are unlocked. I have no idea. Now, all my chakras are clogged with MSG and with my very high IQ take, so I don't care much for fishing, or in fact any form of meditation or going outside or looking at. Have you actually seen animals lately? Animals are horrifying. Cats are okay. Animals are horrifying. They are just unnatural. Have you ever seen a horse? No. Have you ever seen a horse in real life? Horrifying. Terrifying. Birds? Have you noticed birds? They never turn their heads. Their necks just teleport into the correct positions. Listen. I'll stay in here, thanks. Tucker Carlson, I love your program. As a fellow leftist, as a fellow person who dislikes corporations, I really hope you're able to suss out this white supremacy problem. As a avowed consumer of your product, I have not once ever seen even a hint of white supremacy in any of your programs. And I would like to keep it that way. So please, if you could, do cut down on the like basically having neo-Nazis as your top writers kind of shindig. And maybe don't go ahead and do this weird, well, we're all secretly racist defense when that person ends up leaving. Remember, folks, if you dislike cancel culture, just remember that for a brief period of time on the 12th of July, 2020, whatever it is we describe as cancel culture, whatever nebulous thing we're desperately trying to shape out with our language, we did manage to upset Tucker Carlson with it. So there's that.